Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bench. I am Rocco Granado from InLacrosseWeTrust.com, and with me for a third week in a row, and maybe his last week for the time being, because I think Gary comes back next week, from LaxPhilly.com is Kevin Neibauer. Kevin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Rocco. Good to be here. And why is it I cannot hear that song without thinking of the jam-packed Wells Fargo Center and the screaming the Wings just scored the game-winning goal or the go-ahead goal.
Well, I used that song in the very first show for this season. We're now halfway through the NLL season right now, so I figured it was due time to break it out again. And when we come to the end of the season, it's going to be broke out one more time.
Oh, great.
So,
and just to back you up, I believe I'm on the same page with you. As far as I know, George is speaking to him a half an hour ago. Gary will be back for next week.
Yeah.
I think he's coming back Wednesday. So, but I mean, that may affect you. I don't know your schedule. You may need to, whatever. If you go your Thursday night, you should be good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
If not, make the call or the bullpen. We know a guy we can get.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens. But we have a lot to talk about. We had 4 games last week. Some of them were shockers. What can you say? With the way some of the games were. So let's get right into it because we have some information about the expansion draft. Our good friend Evan Schemenauer really broke things down, so I really want to jump into that because there's some interesting names that are out there that are unrestricted free agents. And I'm starting to read between the lines, and it kind of putting a little smile on my face. But we'll get into all that, the standings and where things are going. But the first game we had, like I said, we're going to get right into it. Last Friday night, Vancouver at Calgary. This was a game that Vancouver truly needed in the worst way possible. Unfortunately, there's a thing called the second quarter that Vancouver forgot to really come off the bench, or maybe they went back into the locker room and figured, after the first quarter, it's halftime. But they were in it up until the second quarter. They got outscored 8-1 and ended up being down 13-4 at the half. It was just complete domination by Calgary. They won 20-12, and they were 0 for 4 in the power play. 0 for 4 in the power play. No shorthanded goals either by them. So all 20 of these goals were at even strength, which can make you worry a little bit here. We talked about certain players needing to step up for Vancouver. Reese Dutch, again with just 1 goal, but 7 assists. Again, you like to see some of those assists turned into goals. Corey Small had 4 goals. Logan Shush just had the 5 assists. And Cleveland just, with 2 goals. So you're not getting a lot of goal production out of, a lot of these guys here. Reese Dutch, again, just 1 goal. 7 assists, but just 1 goal. You want to see it the other way around with him. When you look at Calgary, Dane Dobbie was suspended for 1 game, so he did not dress for this game. But you had Curtis Dixon with 4 goals and 3 assists. Holden Cantoni with an 11-point night, 5 goals and 6 assists. Tyler Pace had a hat trick and 2 assists. Westberg had 3 goals and 4 assists. So they kind of spread it all out. But Calgary the score was 4-3 Calgary at one point. and before you knew it, it was 13-3. They just scored. Calgary went on a rampage and scored, eight straight at one point in that second quarter. Vancouver put a little 4-goal run together in the third and going into the fourth quarter, but after that, Calgary just scored the following three, and they just kept them at bay. And this season for Vancouver, Kevin, is a nightmare. They're now at 1-9, 3 games, a good 3 to 3.5 games, I believe, behind the Calgary Roughnecks. 3.5 behind them for third place. And with 8 games to go in the season for them, they got to make up 4 games. That's basically impossible.
No, that's not going to happen. And this, like you were saying, you alluded to, it was 2 different games. The first quarter of them, in Vancouver, they're doing what they have to do. They were doing the things right. And then, just like you said, it's like they went onto the bench and said, hey, let's watch these guys practice. Because it was like they weren't on the floor.
Yeah.
And, I think it was at one point, I think it was a total 9-goal run and something like 13-1 at one, on goals. It's like, how did this happen? And the thing I kind of applauded for, because Denise, the owner, was very, very loyal to Doug Locker, the GM, and he in turn is very, very loyal to Badley, the coach. I think if that was not quite the relationship, quite like they were, there'd be a couple guys looking for work. It's been that bad. Somebody's got to take a fall out there.
Yeah, and there's going to have to be a time where you're going to have to put that friendship, to the side here, because something is just not working. Whether the players have given up on the coach, or they're just not with it. I don't know. I mean, Eric Penny, who played good when he came off the practice squad, was yanked after 25 minutes, only stopping 14 out of 24 shots, and gave way to Brody McDonald, and he stopped 32 of 42. So they each gave up 10 goals each. But what also is happening here is Christian Del Bianco is gaining more and more confidence. He stopped 48 of 60 shots. Only allowed 12 goals, and his team scored 20 for him. This kid is getting more and more confident in between the pipes. And he looks like he's the real deal.
And I agree. And the other thing, to give him another dimension, he's an unbelievable ball handler. I mean, he gets these guys in stride with passes.
Yeah.
That adds another dimension to that Calgary game. The more that kid gets confidence, the better he's getting. And he's believing it, and he's feeling it.
Yeah.
And more importantly, they're feeling it in front of him. Hey, I can make a mistake. This kid's going to back me up. Where, in the beginning, you're kind of gripping that stick pretty tight, thinking, I make a mistake, we're going to be pulling it out of the back of the net.
Yeah. And
I don't think that's the feeling now.
No. And what you got to realize, what you got to look at is, like I said in the beginning, they scored 20 goals all at 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. There was not one power play goal, not one shorthanded goal by Calgary. Vancouver scored a shorthanded and went 2 for 3 on the power play, but Calgary was 0 for 4 on the power play, and they didn't even get a shorthanded goal. So every single one of their goals were at even strength, and all this happened without Dane Dobby in the lineup.
Right, and Tony comes in and they don't miss a beat.
No.
He has a game of his life, and the fact that all the goals are scored at even strength, that's really a red flag. Something's wrong here. Well, I can understand 4 or 5 power play goals, and but you just got your doors blown off in a game you absolutely had to win.
Had to win, yeah.
I mean, that game wasn't as close as 20-12.
No. It could have been worse.
Something's got to come out of this. I can't see. I mean, at this point, though, what's the point, Rocco?
Yeah.
Who are they going to bring in to that's going to win. You know, it's just, I'd say they're going to just finish out the season as it is and then make the moves.
You make the moves from there. Well, here's the thing. You mentioned about Del Bianco, about his stick handling skills. He also had 3 assists in the game.
Yes.
I mean, so the kid is feeling it.
Yes, and he is fun to watch now.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of these guys. And as far as we go back, every team, even if you hated them, with Buffalo, you hated them, but you had that one guy, you're like, wow, this guy is just fun to watch. And that's how he is now. I watched the game to see what's he going to come up with this week.
Yeah, right.
You had Tavares, and we had tons of them here in Philly. The guys, you just watch them and then just shake your head and go, wow. And that's the beauty of what he's doing now. And he's playing like he's 10 foot tall.
Yeah. Hopefully, he continues this. They had 66 shots on goal. Calgary had Vancouver had 60. Loose balls were fairly even. Vancouver had a two loose ball advantage, 64-62. Calgary doubled them up on the faceoffs, 24-12. But there was 8,874 at the Saddle Dome. That's a little less than what they're used to getting. And there's an article out on our website on inlacrossewetrust.com about right now at the rate the attendance is going in the NLL. It could be at a 14-year low by the end of the season.
Yes, in fact, I back you up when I read that today. And it is an eye-opener because, we say it, but you didn't really realize it until you read that. And, they're pointing at factors like starting in December around Christmas time. And,
right.
And so many blowouts, a lot of Friday night games, which traditionally don't draw too well. Saturday night is your marquee night. But, I read the article. It's very well written, and it made a lot of sense. So I'm talking, you're right. You're starting in December, but are you really?
Right.
And you got Vancouver and Georgia, who have been accused for a few years now of inflating the attendance. And 8,000 in Calgary, the way they're playing, that's a little alarming. Yeah,
well, I expect those numbers for Calgary to come shooting up quickly. They have 3 more games at home. They've played 6 games at home right now. They've only played 3 on the road, so they really have to start doing something to kind of move up here. But it's the attendance all around. We talk about Vancouver. Their arena holds like 5,500, give or take a few. New England holds, I believe, just over 7,000. Georgia, forget it. That arena holds a good bit, but their numbers are so skewed. It's not even funny when you look at it, and it's just kind of mind blowing right now. So maybe it is because it started in December, and maybe some of these teams aren't playing as well as they did last year. Georgia for the champions are 4-5. But you don't know if that's the reason why they're getting a low attendance. And Vancouver, it's just they're getting, I think, the building for very, very cheap, if anything at all. And there's just a whole bunch, but the attendance is down all over, and something really needs to be done to get the people back in the seats. The team needs to start doing something.
I don't know if it's an advertising budget or, you look around, just blowouts everywhere, and that's the worst thing for your attendance is a blowout.
Yeah.
Even if you have people there, how many people are leaving at halftime or third quarter because we know who's going to win?
Yeah.
So it's a trickle down. The vendors aren't making any money, and that keeps the building running when you're in there buying a soft drink, or you're buying a shirt, you're buying soda, what have you. People aren't there doing it, and you still got to pay for the lights, and you got to pay for everything else. So like you said, somebody got to sit down and say, what are we doing here, fellas? We got to get this straightened out.
Yeah, I know the having the Twitter game of the week and everything else, that's great to put it out there on the social media. But there's been talk that because you're able to see the game one game a week for free on Twitter, that could be causing some of the attendance problems, and I don't know if I would say that's the problem. I think it's just the matter of the way some of these teams are playing right now, and you know.
And that would be, if that was an underlying cause, that would be an easy fix. You just go to the old NFL rule. We're blacking it out in the town.
Right.
So, you know, you can't see it. If the game with Georgia is on, you can't see it.
Right.
You want to see the game, you got to come.
Yeah, you want to see the game, get there.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what happens, you know, there as that happens. But as I said, Calgary defeated Vancouver 20-12, just complete domination up and down. We went through, you know, Dixon with 4, Tony with 5, Tyler Pace with 3, Del Bianco with 3 assists. I mean, it was just, it could have been a lot worse. It really could have.
Yeah.
So Calgary moved up to 4-5, drawing closer to Colorado, and Vancouver drops to 1-9, and for all intents and purposes, basically out of the playoff race. They're 3.5 out of the last spot, and they have 8 games to go.
And they don't hold a single tiebreaker.
Right.
Right now.
And Calgary has a game in hand. So if Calgary wins their next game, you're looking at a 4-game lead with 8 games to go, which basically means you need to win out and also get a whole lot of help.
Yeah.
So it's really not looking good there. Now, the next game we had Toronto at Georgia. This was one of the heart stoppers, I'll say. It really was. Georgia hung in with them the whole time. I mean, you know, Toronto's up 6-5 at the end of 1. Then Georgia's got a 9-8 lead at the end of the half. And it just went up and back. And, you know, Toronto opened up with a 5-goal lead. They were up 5-0 at one point, and then, you know, Georgia just came right back. They went on their run. You know, they were outscoring them 3-1 here, 2-0 here. So they started chipping away at the lead, and you know, Miles Thompson put in the tying goal with like 4 minutes to go on the power play, and that just went up and back for the last 4 minutes. And then Shane Jackson, who I said has been quiet lately, made the biggest. He scored his 1 goal of the game, and it was the one in overtime. And it was just, you know, a phenomenal shot.
Yeah.
Some nice passing, and you know, they actually defeated.
If you're going to get one, that's the time.
That's the time to get it. And they come out and they beat Toronto 14-13. Everything was very evenly played throughout this whole entire game. You know, each team had 4 penalties, so it was very well disciplined, I'll say. The attendance, I don't know. It says 5,052. But I think there was some kind of halftime show going on there, so that kind of might have...
Yeah, they have something. You can clear up something. I saw a stat, and I can't believe it's true, and I haven't verified it. Lyle Thompson had 16 shots on goal.
No, it's showing here on the score sheet 8 shots for Lyle.
8, okay. All right. I thought that. There's no way that this guy got 16.
Yeah.
You know,
Lyle had 8. Lyle had 8 shots on goal. Jesse King had 8.
You know, it's something that...
Yeah.
What happens when he wakes up?
Yeah, well, he's
getting the shots, they're just not falling.
Well, yeah, he only had 4 assists. Miles Thompson had 2 goals and an assist. Jesse King had 3 goals, 3 assists, and we got to see his brother Marshall playing for Drexel on Saturday,
yes.
And he is just a little bit better than Jesse, believe it or not. So he comes to the indoor. Watch out. You know, you got McIntosh, a goal and 3 assists. Yeah, but now there is one additional player that returned from being a holdout. And it was a person who was very instrumental in the championship run last year. A fan favorite here in Philly, fan favorite in Rochester. Goes by the name of Jordan Hall. 3 goals.
Story of the week.
3 goals, 1 assist in his first game of the year. I mean, that's just... I don't know. That's just, you know...
We mentioned him earlier in the year how on the show we did before this, how we were singing his praises and saying, you know what, this guy's an MVP. And he comes back and look what happens. Georgia basically just been going through the motions, for lack of a better term. He comes back, he jump starts them. He's the kind of guy that makes everybody else better.
Yeah.
You know, 3 goals, okay, that's a normal like McCall, but he opens up the floor for everybody because his vision and his awareness and his smarts are just, you know, these are these. This kid's going to be a coach someday.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but he just knows the game.
Well, they had him. I remember before they had him down as a transition player, but he's more on the offensive side, you know, than anything. I mean, and he played a very big part in this game.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got him as a transition, and he's killing you.
Yeah.
You know, that may be the big difference for him this year.
I mean, and granted, I mean, Toronto was without Tom Schreiber, who's going to be out for about 6-8 weeks. But you got, you know, McCardle had a goal, Hellier 2 and 5, Hickey with 2 goals, Adam Jones 3 goals, 4 assists. Hellier and Jones, between the two of them, they had 28 shots on goal, 28 out of the 58. So I mean, those 2 guys took almost half the shots, because the next highest person is McCardle with 5 shots. You know, so you got Reed Reinhold a goal and 5 assists. Rogers had a couple of goals, and we went through Georgia with Jesse King and Jordan Hall getting hat tricks, so they kind of spreaded it around there. But yeah, I mean it looks like with Jordan Hall being there, it kind of gave them a little bit of a spark, if you ask me. And they ended up winning this game in overtime.
Yeah, and when Schreiber went down, everybody was looking, well, who's going to step it up? And the one who impressed me was Reed Reinhold. I thought he played a very good all-around game. Yeah,
a goal and 5 assists.
Schreiber, he's not going to get you 7 or 8 goals a game. But he stepped it up. I was impressed. He's up for him. He's getting some playing time, and he's making the most of it.
Yeah. So, hopefully, they can continue that. But this was a game here that Georgia needed to win also, because they came into the game at 3 and 5. Now they're 4 and 5. They're only 2 games out of first place, a half a game out of the playoff spot, and 1 game behind Toronto for the number 2 spot. So things are starting to tighten a little bit more in the East, especially with the way, like you said, some of these games went. So Georgia wins 14-13. That was in overtime. Georgia was 3 for 4 in the power play. Toronto went 2 for 4. Toronto outshot Georgia 58-51. Georgia had loose balls 72-70. And the faceoffs were kind of even. Georgia with a 17-14 advantage. So Georgia wins. Toronto loses, which now opens up the door in our next game with Rochester hosting Saskatchewan. Now, in the beginning of the year, Kevin, me and Gary talked about this, and I think we might have chatted about it as well. When both these teams started the season, they both started 2-0, and they were both averaging 20-plus goals a game. And we said, this game is going to be special on February 17th. If these 2 teams keep going the way they are, this could be a Champions Cup preview. Well, Saskatchewan kept on rolling, and so did Rochester, but they started rolling the other way. They lost 6 in a row before finally winning 1, and now coming into this game, they hung right with them. And I think Saskatchewan had a little bit of a brain fart in the second quarter, because that's when Rochester took over the game. I mean, Saskatchewan went up 5-3, 38 seconds into the second quarter, and that was the last time they had the lead. When have you ever seen that?
I don't ever remember that. And getting back to the Rochester thing, and when they were only halfway through, when they had a 3-game losing streak, I had mentioned it. I had written something about it's the most unusual 3-game losing streak I have ever seen. You talk about a hard luck snake bitten team. You lose your first game in Georgia because it took you like 18 hours to get a plane. To get starts an hour and a half late. That's a battle. You lost that game. And then the following week you're playing New England, and at the end of the game, wide open net, Brett Manny's head gets in the way and blocks the shot.
Yeah.
And this team is snake bitten. It's just, they go, every team generally goes through that. Now, then I went to 6 games, like, okay, maybe they're not as good as we all thought they were. And, I was one of the ones we were all saying, Saskatchewan's going to go 16-0. It's who's going to beat them? It doesn't work that way in the National Lacrosse League. But, Rochester went as far south as you can go as being at the top of the map. They just, that 6-game run was horrible. They weren't even in those last 3 games.
No, they weren't. And this game, when Rochester took it over, and they went on a 5-goal run, and it went from 5-3 to 8-5. At that point in time, Saskatchewan then pulled Evan Kirk. Now, I always said this about Evan Kirk, that he's only as good as the defense is in front of him. Okay? Defense was not all that good in front of him in this game. And there was a couple other games they kind of did iffy on, but they pulled them out. But they pulled Kirk out after only playing 25 minutes and 49 seconds. He stopped 19 of 27 shots. He allowed 8 goals during that 5-goal run. And in comes Tyler Carlson. Well, during the half, while I just tried to soak all this in with what was going on with this game, it reminded me of 2012, the championship game, okay? When Rochester was down, I think it was 6-1 or something like that at the half.
Yeah.
And I was there covering the game. I was on the concourse. I was talking to my friend Tim, who's the head of the Nighthawks fan club, and I still remember the conversation. I said, Tim, what the hell is going on out there? He looked at me square in the eye and goes, don't worry, we got this. And no sooner said than done. Before you knew it, final score 9-6. I mean, it just went, and that's just what Rochester did in this game. They hold a 9-7 lead at the half. Both teams scored 2 goals in the third. So, you're still looking at a 2-goal lead there. But then Rochester, Saskatchewan gets within 12-11 with Ben McIntosh scoring a goal. Okay, and you still have 11 minutes and 29 seconds to go in the game. And you got a 1-goal lead against Saskatchewan. That's kind of like, when the Eagles played the Patriots. You're like, okay, we got to do something to extend this lead and to limit their chances. Well, at 6:43, Corey Vitarelli put one in. Then Kyle Jackson put one in, and I think this was the goal that he got was just, it was scary, because I believe this was his 1 goal. It just, they went around the horn, and it was a quick stick on it for him, and it was just, it was the goal that made it 10-9 for for Saskatchewan. That was the quick stick, but Kyle Jackson goal was just as pretty on that. And increased the lead to 14-11 with only like 4.5 minutes to go, and then Big Paul Dawson picks up a loose ball and runs the floor and puts in an empty netter. The man known for dropping gloves and, punching your lights out, basically turned the lights out on Saskatchewan.
He put the lights on. I mean, as I say, I think I was really impressed with the coaching job Hazen did. They made the adjustments, and they really seemed to take the fire away from Saskatchewan. I don't know, how that worked. You could see a different team at halftime.
Yeah.
After the half was over, they were completely different. You could see there was something said in that locker room. Some changes were made. And more impressive than the fact that they won without Dan Dawson.
Yeah.
He didn't play.
No.
He hasn't played the last 2 games, so I don't know if you've heard anything on him or.
I think it's work related or family related because they got him like on a short term holdout list.
I heard the Sunday game it was a work thing. He couldn't give up a work, but I don't know about this one.
Yeah,
but who are we? They're not going to tell us.
No, but here
they didn't tell us about Jordan Hall playing either.
No, but here's the interesting thing. Okay, you had Ben McIntosh with a hat trick, Mark Matthews with a hat trick. Robert Church, who's been Mr. Consistent this whole year, only had a goal and 2 assists in this game. They shut him down.
Yeah.
McIntosh and Matthews were the only ones with multiple goals. Everybody else who scored, Messenger, Church, Dilks, Ryan Keenan, Thompson, all had single goals. That was it. So that Rochester defense clamped down huge. And who really came up huge in this game, and we've been waiting for this, Cody Jamieson.
I'm glad you got to that.
Hat trick and 4 assists. Typical Cody Jamieson type of game. With a hat trick and 4 assists. I mean, just the whole entire roster. Quinn Palace with a goal and an assist. Eric Fennell, 4 assists. Kyle Jackson, 2 and 1. Josh Currier, 2 and 1. Vitarelli, a goal and an assist. Austin Shanks, 2 and 2. I mean, everybody just chipped in. Paul Dawson, Graham Hosick, Brad Gillies, all with a goal. Resitaris, a goal and 2 assists. We said Vitarelli. Scott Campbell, a goal and an assist. His goal was on transition. The older he gets, the better he gets. Yeah, Campbell. And it's just from top to bottom, this was the Rochester team that I've been looking to see during that 6-game losing streak.
Yes, I agree. And if you're a coach after this game, you're letting yourself up a nice big stogie, and you're sitting back and saying, damn, top to bottom, game ball for everybody. Yeah. It wasn't one guy stepped up and said, I'm leading this. It was, like you just pointed out, it was everybody.
Yeah.
The defense was stout back to when they were in the beginning of the year. They made those adjustments. And Matt Vince is playing like he's 20 years old again.
He came up huge. He came up huge in this game.
Top to bottom win. And if you're going to build up a game, that's the game.
I mean, it was just unbelievable some of the saves that he made in this game. And the thing is, Rochester only had 6,100. 6,188 showed up for that game. And they're usually good for a good 9,000 at times. So the people in Rochester really need to get out and, and really support the team. Maybe this is the game that does it. They have 3 more home games this season. They got March 10th with Georgia coming in, March 31st against Colorado, and then April 21st they have New England. That's their last 3 home games. I'll be there for 2 of them.
All 3 of those games should have a huge crowd. They're all playoff ramifications, all 3.
Yep.
If Rochester gets in, you got to beat those teams at some point.
Yes, you do.
And you're beating the best.
Yeah.
And you beat them handily. So there should be a huge crowd, a bigger crowd there at the next home game than there has been.
See what happens, yeah. But, I mean, what impressed me is not only the play of Matt Vince, the way he just came out. But the team in general, they went up, with 5-3 they were down. They go on that 5-goal run. They go up 8-5. Then you're looking 9-7. Then it gets to 11-9, 11-10, and you're thinking, okay, Saskatchewan can come back. It's only 11-10, 1 goal. But then they make it 12-10. Then Saskatchewan comes right back, makes it 12-11. And they're like going blow for blow in a boxing ring. You score 1, we're coming right back. We're not letting you get on that run. We're keeping that 2-goal distance. It goes, like I said, 11-10, then 12-10, 12-11. And then after it went 12-11, that was it. That's when, they're down by 1, but Rochester held strong, and they scored the next 4 to, they had 2 empty netters, just put it away. But during that time, those 11 and a half minutes, like I said, the defense had to come up huge. Cody Jamieson had one hell of a strip job coming down the floor back on defense in that fourth quarter.
And you would not expect that. Yeah, it's not the guy you would expect that from.
No. Messenger was on a break, okay? He was on a break, and Cody Jamieson just came out of nowhere, just, ran him down, stripped him of the ball, and then started a fast break, and that's when Austin Shanks took the pass off the backboards, and he wrapped it around from behind on that goal. That was in the second half. I mean, that was just unreal. That made it 10-7. So, I mean, it's just...
You look at games and you break them down, and there's a certain plays that define that game. Yeah. And that had to be one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Saskatchewan's got to be thinking, here's a goal.
Yeah.
And probably half the Rochester bench is thinking, let's go put a base up, get the ball back. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he comes literally out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from.
He ran him down. He didn't come off the bench. He ran him down from one end of the floor to the other and waited for him to bring the stick back just enough. And then he just, it was a thing of beauty. It's just perfect.
Absolutely. It's one of them wow plays where, wow, that's not going to happen much.
No.
Now. And I thought one of the things that I looked at, when you want to break the momentum, and Messenger was doing, I don't know the numbers, he was doing pretty good on the face-offs. They were alternating. And I thought, why don't you put Messenger in? He's been winning. He won a couple in a row. Put him in, get that ball, call timeout, settle things down, and regroup. And it just didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of questions for that game. And the next game, there's a few questions. Yeah, there's one big question I have on the next game. That's Colorado and New England. This game, we thought, hey, it's going to be a close game. Colorado opened up with a 6-1 lead at the end of the first quarter. And now we're thinking, well, forget this. It's going to be, a runaway. Well, tables turned. New England scored 6 in the second. So you're looking at New England being down 8-7 as we go into the second half. Well, New England never came out of the locker room, it seems. Because Colorado goes ahead and they score 11 times in that second half. And the one big person who came back in this game was Zach Greer. 3 goals, 5 assists. Whatever rust he had on his body, it's off.
He probably listened to the show a couple of weeks ago.
He may have. Me and Gary have always said that. All of a sudden, we mention a player and, that something's going on. We don't know what's going on. He's not playing right. And then all of a sudden, this happens.
And the Jordan Hall appears out of nowhere.
Right.
I think you got a magical touch, Rock. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
How many penalties? Did New England have, 11 penalties in that game?
Well, they had 15.
They had double digits.
They had 30 minutes in penalties.
Yeah. I don't care how many goals you score. You're not
2 majors.
When you're
2 of them were majors. So they had 12 penalties called against them. 2 of them were majors. Some of them were kind of questionable, though, if you ask me. So I mean,
anytime to get that many, sure. I mean, that's open for debate, but
and
I saw, and that's just. It seemed to me they were very, very undisciplined. I mean, like, they're calling everything, fellas. Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean,
there's Sean Evans doing Sean Evans at the end of the game. Even the New England announcer said, "This doesn't surprise me." That's pretty bad when your home announcer says it doesn't surprise me. He gets a penalty here. That's Sean Evans.
Yeah, but some of the calls that they could have, went the other way with, and I don't want to say it's because of who the official was, but it just seems that they would let them play at some points, and then at other points they wouldn't. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It just seemed
It was inconsistent, and as you're also an official referee, that the worst thing you can be is inconsistent. Call it the same way the entire game, from the first minute to the last minute.
Yeah,
I'm preaching to the choir. You know
right.
that, and I didn't see that. Like, well, that's a call. Oh, no, they didn't call it.
No, yeah.
What's that call?
Yeah. For a team to get 12 power plays and the other team only gets 1. I don't know. I got, and I rewatched the game. So I'm trying to think. I think it was the Watkinson roughing major. I don't know if I would have called that a major.
That was questionable.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a minor, possible double minor at the most. But I don't think it deserved a 5.
I'm going because I'm backing you on it because I didn't look at that then, and when I looked at it later, it wasn't intentional.
No.
I don't believe that was an intentional hit.
No.
So when you make that call, you have to factor that in. All right, look, it's a penalty. We're going to give you a 4. Don't do it again. You give him 5. That means he did it on purpose.
Right. I mean, he led with the shoulder. He didn't, do anything, intentional. It was a clean. I think it was a clean hit, but who are we? But the killer in this.
No, I mean, I think what I'm saying. Even if you're going to call, if you're going to go with ticky-tack call, you can't give them 5. I'm sorry.
No.
And that's the type of thing. That's another thing the league has to look at. Come on, man, let them play the game.
Let them play.
That's a tough call. And I'm never one, neither are you, never one to question referees or officials.
No.
But that one leaves you scratching your head.
Yeah, and
how does one team have 12 and the other one only has 1?
Yeah,
at no point that team didn't retaliate.
Yeah, and they capitalized on 7 of them.
7.
You win the game by 8, and 7 of your goals were on the power play.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta question that, but you had Benesh 2 goals, 6 assists, solid night for him. Wardell with a goal and 3, Rouet 2 and 1. Stephen Keogh, he seems to feast on the Black Wolves. 4 goals, 3 assists, 6 loose balls. Noble 2 and 4. Eli McLaughlin 3 and 1. I mentioned about Zach Greer 3 and 5. Joey Caputo even got a goal in the game. When you look at New England, Evans had 2 and 4. Crowley 4 and 3. And Stephon LeBlanc 3 goals and 1 assist. And both Buchanans each chipped in, with a goal there. But it's good to see Stephon LeBlanc get up in the goals there. But something needs to happen. And the first thing I'm going to mention here is when I heard that they had Doug Jamieson start in this game and not Aaron Bold. And I heard them say that, well, next week they're playing Vancouver, and it's not that far of a trip for Aaron Bold from Edmonton to Vancouver. So that's where they're going to play him. Well, my thing is, when you go to play this game, you already know that Vancouver is 1-9. You're going up against Colorado, a team with a winning record, and this is a game that you need to win. Why wouldn't have you started Aaron Bold and then give Doug Jamieson the start in Vancouver? That's my thing. They ended up pulling Jameson anyway, but in a game that you needed, a game like this against Colorado, okay, where you need to win this game. Because if they would have won this game, they would have been 5-3. Okay, and they would have been right there. They would have been ahead of Toronto in the standings. But they went with Jameson against Colorado, who was 4-3, and they're fighting for, to try to get the first place or to hold on to second place. They're not, a down in the dump team. You got Vancouver coming up, this week. So my thing would have been start Bold and then start Jameson this week coming up.
And I agree. The logic that I read and I saw, and to me, it's flawed logic. You're playing out there next week, and Jameson has to fly across the whole thing about Jameson. You don't want to start him there because he's tired. I'm sorry, I don't get that. That doesn't plus. Aaron Bowles been flying, making an 8-hour one-way trip all season.
Everybody's got to fly over there.
Come on, that's stupid. I'm really having questions with Glenn Clark right now. There's discipline issues. That, to me, was a horrible coaching decision. You needed that game.
Yeah.
You absolutely needed that game.
He's saying he didn't want to do it because Jameson's got to fly across 2 time zones or whatever, and he might be tired. Well, wait a minute now. Let's see. Brett Manny, Kevin Crowley live here in Philadelphia, in the Philadelphia area. Don't they have to fly the same distance? So what? Are you not going to play them because they might be tired?
And my question to that would have been, if you're worrying about your goaltender being tired, fly him out on Thursday.
Right.
Let him sit for a day and get relaxed. I agree with you. Crowley and most of that team is on the East Coast. They're all doing the same thing. But
Sean Evans.
Are we tired? Well, guess what? Now you kind of jammed yourself up a little bit because you kind of can't afford to lose.
No, you look at Sean Evans coming from Peterborough.
Vancouver right now, they just want to beat somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm not qualified to be a coach in that league. I just question that decision.
Yeah, so do I. That was my one big question there. But New England is getting a new player this weekend.
Yes, they are.
They worked out a trade, and I think this is going to help them huge.
Yes.
Going to help them huge. They picked up Johnny Pallas from the Georgia Swarm. Johnny Pallas, a 4-time Champion Cup winner, 3 times with the Rochester Nighthawks. Me and Johnny go back away with some of the interviews I've had with him. They picked him up, I believe, for a second rounder in 2018 and a third in 2019. So, he can't wait to get on the floor with them. Obviously, his social media, his Twitter page was, going off. I told him how, I was looking forward to seeing him on March 10th with Georgia. I said, now I'm going to have to wait till April when he's there with New England again. So, good luck to...
That could turn out to be an absolute steal.
Yes.
He's not really seeing much playing time. If he's not making a difference in Georgia, but he fits in perfect with New England.
Yeah.
They need... The Buchanans have just not scored goals. And it's getting late. It's getting late in the season. You got to start making a statement. This kid can step right in.
Yeah,
he's not going to get 5 or 6 a game, but he's going to solidify what you have.
And
he's not a Jordan Hall, but he's a great pickup for them.
And putting somebody in that lineup like him could help the Buchanans score a few more goals.
At least you're changing the chemistry.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what New England needs. They need just something in there to change things up. Georgia did it. Look what happened. New England brings him in. I think that's going to be the steal of the season.
Yeah, because
it didn't hurt Georgia. They're going to lose draft picks. Big deal at this point. You can just sign people.
Yeah, because
And a lot of these great drop, you know as well as I do, a lot of them are motivated because of work situations and family things. He may not be able to get to Georgia every game.
Right. And the thing is here now, you're looking at, they have Evans, Crowley, Stefan LeBlanc, who's finally coming around, and now you're going to add in Johnny Palace. Now, I'm not saying Johnny Palace is a 80-goal scorer, but he's got the speed, he's got the stick skills. I mean, he's been with Rochester, he's been with Georgia. He can play the game.
And the bottom line is what you touched on earlier. He's been there, done that. He's won championships.
Yep.
They don't really have that in the locker room other than Aaron Bolt.
Yeah.
There's a few guys, okay, but now this guy, this is what we need to do. And he could be totally wrong, but the fact that he's got a couple of championships, I'm going to listen to him.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to listen to him.
Definitely.
I think he's an idiot, but I'm going to listen to him.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, he's going to add something. And you know what? This is a good game for them to do it with Vancouver coming up. So that was, unfortunately, this game, New England outshot Colorado. Colorado had a few more loose balls, face-offs, 19-14 in favor of New England. We talked about the penalties and the power play. 7 for 12 for Colorado, only 1 for New England. They went 1 for 1. 19-11 was the final. Again, it was a second-half collapse where they were outscored 11-4. So hopefully they can pick it up this week. So going into this week's games, here's how the standings look. In the West, we'll do the West first because it's real self-explanatory here. Saskatchewan's 8-2. Georgia's at 5 Colorado's at 5-3, 2 games out, but Colorado's got 2 games in hand. They've only played 8 games to Saskatchewan's 10. So if Colorado could win those 2 games, they're only going to be a game out of first place. And then you have to worry about the tiebreaker there with them. Calgary is now at 4-5. They're 3.5 out of first and a game and a half behind Colorado for second. And Vancouver is sitting at 1-9, 7 games out, almost 3.5 out of the final playoff spot. It's basically all but over there. And this weekend, Saskatchewan, with a win, can clinch. Yes, I said can clinch a playoff berth after 11 games.
In February.
It's scary. After 11 games, we'll have a playoff spot already.
In February.
Already clinched.
Go ahead.
Now, in the East, things tightened up a bit in the East. Okay? Buffalo's at 6-3. Toronto's at 5-4. They're only a game behind Buffalo. New England, who could have really used that win, is sitting at 4-4. They're a game and a half out of first and only a half a game out of second. Georgia's at 4-5. They're a half game out of the playoff spot, so they're right on New England's tail. And Rochester is 4-6. They're 4 games out, but only 1 game out of the final playoff spot in the East. So it's only Rochester is 2.5 games. I'm sorry, they're 2.5 games out of first place. Rochester 4-6 to 6-3. They're 2.5 out. That is not much from first to 5th in the Eastern Division. So things kind of tightened up this weekend with Rochester winning, with Georgia winning, and with New England and Toronto losing. The bottom 2 teams gained a game on them, a very big game. So, you're looking at 2.5 from top to bottom, but yet Rochester is only a game out of a playoff spot and a game and a half out of second place. So they are by
out of the playoff spot, and they lost 6 straight.
Yeah, so they're by no means out of it. They still got 3 games at home and 5 on the road to finish the season out. So we'll have to see what happens. Now, this weekend, just as we were talking about that they are 2.5 out of first place, the first game on the schedule for this week. All games are on Saturday this weekend. No Friday games, so you get to rest up and go Saturday. 7:30 p.m. The Nighthawks travel down I-90 to face the Buffalo Bandits. This is going to be classic. Buffalo had last week off. Rochester's coming off a huge emotional win. It's an hour and a half bus ride to Buffalo. This is going to be a classic game. Yeah, a win here by Rochester puts them right there. It'll put them right there, and I think in this game they can do it. I really think Rochester can beat Buffalo this week. I mean, Alex Bouquet.
I think Buffalo, as hot as they were, they got to buy at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Because Rochester now, that's a huge win. The adjustments and everything. I'm come on, guys, you want this.
2 in a row now. I mean, they won the first 2, lost 6. Now they're on a 2-game winning streak. A modest 2-game winning streak, but they're very evenly matched when it comes to goals. 131 to 128 in favor of Rochester, and goals against is 120 for Buffalo and 117 for Rochester. So, Rochester's on the plus 14, Buffalo's on the plus 8 goal differential. So this is going to be a very evenly matched game here.
And the way the season is going, if I'm going to pick a goalie in this game who can carry me, pulling away, Matt Vince, the way he's playing, if it comes down to the goaltenders, he's going to outplay either one of Buffalo's. Bouquet is starting to find it, but he had that week off.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to weigh. I think Buffalo is going to come out sluggish. It's going to be at home. They're going to be sleepwalking that first quarter, first period. They're going to find themselves down 2 or 3 goals. And that's a huge way to come back against a defensive team like Rochester.
Yeah. And
they're just going to tighten it down, they're going to grip that stick, and they're going to pound you. Yeah. They're going to keep you to the outside, and you beat Vince. We dare you.
Yeah, and Vince gets up for these games. He gets up for all his games, but this one especially. When he knows that, hey, we win this game, we're only going to be a game and a half out of first place, and we'll be sitting in a playoff spot depending on what, the other team, depending on what New England does. Because Rochester, Buffalo, and New England are the only 3 teams in the East that are in action this week. So, Rochester could really put themselves in the thick of the whole thing and make it really, really, really interesting. But yeah, I'm going with Rochester. I think Gary was going with Rochester as well in this game. Like you said, they started coming around. Alex Bouquet started to find it, and now they had the week off. You're hoping he still found it and not lost it. But with that big emotional win that they just had, Rochester, now winning 2 in a row, I guess you could say they're on an emotional high right now with that game. I mean, from a fan perspective, you look at that, but the players like, okay, we won the game, let's focus, who we have next. But that was a very big win, a very big confidence booster for them. And even though they're playing in Buffalo, I still think Rochester's going to take care of them in this game.
And real quickly, you got the potential X factor as to this Dan Dawson plan. We don't know what his situation, but Saturday night game sounds like something he can make.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know what's going on, but if he plays and Vince is on his game, it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a battle from beginning to end. But I see Rochester on a roll right now. I think they're just so psyched that they're beating the best team in the league for the last one of the best teams in the league. And how can you not be? You got a young team. You got Austin Shanks. You got all these young guys coming in, and they're just getting better every day. And I think that Jake Withers is going to make a big difference in this too.
Yeah, very big.
Buffalo scores 1-2 goals, and Withers gets that ball back. That kid's really shown the importance of face-offs this year.
Yeah. So So we all agree that we feel Rochester will beat Buffalo here. We actually need a turnaround week. The last 2 weeks we haven't been doing all that great. The next game is Calgary at Saskatchewan. This is the game we were talking about. Saskatchewan wins, they clinch a playoff berth. They're playing at home. They're coming off that loss to Rochester. No doubt they're upset. They're going to take this out on Calgary. Maybe Calgary can make a game out of it with the way Del Bianco's been playing lately. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I really don't. I think Saskatchewan's going to watch how they play this game because they don't want to come out in anger, to try to make a point and let's just blow this team out of the water, because that could only turn around and bite you. I do see them winning this game. It'll probably be like a three-goal win for them, 3 or 4 goals. But I because the way Del Bianco's been playing lately, I still think he's going to be on his game. And this week, Calgary gets Dane Dobie back.
Yeah, Del Bianco for the last 3 or 4 weeks is, probably, you could argue apples and oranges. He's probably been the best in the league the last 3 or 4 weeks, but he hasn't played Saskatchewan.
No.
Yeah, I just don't see the Rush losing 2 in a row. I just don't see that happening. Like you said, they're going to be pissed off when they come out.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, you got to temper the emotions. You're a 2-time champion. Been here, done this, fellas. Now we're going to let you play. We're going to let you play with us for 2.5 quarters, and then we're going to win this game by 3. And that's what I think it is. Saskatchewan by 3. I agree with you. It's not going to be a blowout, but I think Saskatchewan's just going to. They're going to find it again.
Yeah. Yeah, Saskatchewan's going to win this. I think this is going to be Del Bianco's, I want to say coming out game, because I think he's really going to turn some heads in this game. Yeah, he's already turned some, but now he's going up against a high-powered offense like Saskatchewan, and I really think he's going to be turning some heads. But unfortunately, he's going to be on the losing end of this. That's at 8:30 Eastern.
This is a huge game for him. He's going to be pumped. This is a statement game for him.
Yeah.
He's just going to come out on the wrong end of it. But
who knows?
We'll be watching this game, and he's going to. And people are going to say, "Wow, I didn't know that kid was that good."
Yeah. Who knows? The season's been so wacky right now. Saskatchewan may lose 2 in a row. We don't know, but right now I would have to say I don't see. I see Saskatchewan winning this game, but Del Bianco is going to have a nice game here.
The only consistent thing about the league this year, inconsistency.
Yeah.
You sit back and say this team's going to win. Oh shit, they lost.
They lost. Yeah.
Oh, they lost, and it's just all from game 1. Look at you every week. You look at the game like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
It's been all year. So, like you said, I don't think I'll lose 2. It wouldn't shock me, but I would be very surprised. They're not going to lose at home.
No, I don't see it happening either. Now, the last game we have is the Twitter game of the week. It's New England at Vancouver. That's at 10 o'clock Eastern. Again, it's the Twitter game of the week. It's in Vancouver, which means you're going to get Jake Elliott on the call. And it also means that if the game gets out of hand, we could be getting cooking tips from Jake.
We talked about him a few weeks ago, but you know what? That's what I like about him, because he doesn't take himself serious.
No.
And he's just such a down-to-earth, nice guy.
Yeah.
And I'm still a little bit shocked why the Rochester-Buffalo game isn't a Twitter game of the week, but we don't make that call.
Yeah, that's what I was. I guess they want to give each team their due.
Yeah, I guess
on that, which is understandable.
Just like the NFL does. It's made up in advance.
But this game here...
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Jake. I haven't heard him in a little bit.
Yeah, but this game here, I don't know, Vancouver 1-9, New England 4-4. The thing that worries me is New England has only scored 90 goals. They let up 119, but But you look at Vancouver. Vancouver scored 102, and they let up a league high 154 goals. The next highest is 123 by Georgia. That's a 31 goal difference between that. 154 goals they have let up. So they're averaging 10 goals a game and letting up 15 a game. And meanwhile, New England is scoring at 11, just a little bit over 11 a game, and it looks like they're letting up almost 15 a game as well. So.
In New England, I know they gave up. They had two 20-goal games and one 19-goal game. One 19-goal game.
Yeah. So
they've always, since they moved, they've always had a questionable defense. We thought maybe this year it was getting worked out. Doesn't seem to be the case. You get a guy like Aaron Bolden in that. You can't let him face 55 shots a game.
No, but I think. I don't know. I just think with who they're going to have now, we talked about Evans and Crowley. LeBlanc's coming into his own. Now you add Johnny Palace, who will be in the lineup in this game. You got 4 goal scorers that can put the ball behind you before you even take a breath. And I think this is where the offense gets working here. I think this is where Glenn Clark can actually do some different schemes once the game is in hand, I'll say. He can mix and match certain lines and get certain other looks. But I see Evans having 4 or 5, Crowley with the same thing, and I see LeBlanc and Palace each with a hat trick. So between those 4, I'm looking at 15, 16 goals from those 4 alone.
And you throw in 1 each for 2 weeks in the Buchanans. This could be a 20-goal or plus.
Yeah.
Again, for New England. I agree. I think this is the week. They got a wake-up call last week. You know what? We kind of, we kind of shit the bed, so to speak. We got to get this straightened out. We cannot lose this game, and we need to send a message to the rest of the division that yes, we are for real. Yeah, you can't win an 11-8 game.
No,
Vancouver, not going to happen.
No,
you got to kind of, and I hate to say it for Vancouver, they got to get their doors blown off because New England is. I think they are not happy. 12-pounder leads. It was just a bad game they had. They need to rally. They were a better team. Far better team in Vancouver, and they're going to show it. They're going to flex their muscles this week.
Yeah. And
I think they build off of this. I think Palace and LeBlanc are going to lead the way. I agree. Your numbers, I agree.
Yeah.
Crowley and Sean Evans, they get their goals every game.
Yeah, and that's just going to happen.
He's getting acclimated to the offense, and Palace, he's going to learn the offense, but he's good for a couple.
Oh no, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a hat trick.
Yeah. What they can't do though is they can't play down to Vancouver. That's the thing.
Traditionally been their problem.
Right.
They play the great teams great, and then they play down when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I agree. They got to play their game.
Yeah.
Don't get a 4-goal first period lead and then sit on it.
Yeah. And they just can't do that. So they're your matchups for this week. You got Rochester at Buffalo, 7:30 p.m. All these times are Eastern. Then you have at 8:30 Calgary at Saskatchewan, and then at 10 o'clock the Twitter game of the week, New England at Vancouver. Jake Elliott on the call. So you got three great games here. The Rochester Buffalo game that could vault Rochester right into the playoff race, put them right into third. New England wins. This is the game that they have in hand over Toronto. They could end up being tied with Toronto, and a Rochester win puts them a half game behind New England and Toronto. So things are starting to get interesting as we hit week 11 or week 12 of the NLL season. Now, we finally got resolution on the expansion draft. Evan Schemenauer put out a great article, and he just did his own little mock draft kind of thing on the teams. One team I'm going to jump to right away is the New England Black Wolves, okay? And when I go through these names, you'll understand why, okay? The expansion draft is going to be held in July. It's got to be done before August 1st, because on August 1st, anybody who is an unrestricted free agent or a restricted free agent can be approached by other teams, or the unrestricted free agents can go to other teams if they wish. Okay? Restricted free agents can get qualifying offers from other teams. So the expansion draft is going to happen in July. Now, what's going to happen is there's going to be a coin flip. Whoever wins the coin flip between San Diego and Philadelphia will get the choice of whether they want to take the first pick in the expansion draft or the first pick in the NLL draft in September. If, let's just say, San Diego wins the coin flip, and they say, we want the number one pick in the expansion draft, that means Philadelphia gets the number one pick in the NLL draft. That's how it'll work. So if you go number one in the expansion, you're going number two in the draft, and vice versa. But for New England, this is what Evan has down for the protected list. You can protect five forwards, five defensemen / transition, and a goalie. This is who he has. He's got Sean Evans, Riley O'Connor, Doug Jamieson is the goalie, which means Aaron Bold will be left unprotected, and I'm going to get to that. David Brock, Colton Watkinson, Stefan LeBlanc, John LaFontaine, Joe Coyle, Seth Oakes, Brett Manny, and Matt Spanger. What's the one name you didn't hear in that list, Kevin?
I'm going to say Sean Evans.
He's protected. He was the first name I said.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kevin Crowley.
Yes. He is a unrestricted free agent, meaning on August 1st he can talk to any team out there. Also on the unrestricted free agent is Aaron Bold, Kevin Crowley, Kevin Buchanan, Kyle Buchanan, Jay Thornbear. So they're unrestricted. They cannot be picked from the lot because they're unrestricted. Okay? Your unprotected players will be J.P. Keeley, Derek Suddens, Adam Bomberry, Andrew Mullen, Mark Cockerton, and Anthony Joaquin. Now, Evan is saying the projected selections will be Adam Bomberry and Anthony Joaquin. Now, your unrestricted free agents, like I said, August 1st, they can go to wherever they want. Now, my thing is this. New England knows what Kevin Crowley is capable of doing out there on the floor. Why wouldn't they sign him? Okay? Now, he's an unrestricted free agent. I'm starting to think that, hey, maybe he told them, this is the last year of my contract, don't re-sign me. I want to go back to Philly.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that because you know as well as I do, he lives in the area. Mm-hmm. He's got a business, a very good business for him in the area.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be shocked at all if he said, look, don't sign me. I want to go there.
Yeah.
I played there before. They want a big name. I'm going to go there.
Yeah, and we talked about it before about, it would be great to get Crowley back here, and other people have said, well, as long as it don't cost us any of our youth. Well, he's an unrestricted free agent. He's not under contract. So, August 1st, you could hear rumblings coming from the Philadelphia Wings that, hey, they signed Kevin Crowley. We don't know. I'm saying this as a fan of his because I watched him through his career at Stony Brook and when he plays for the new Westminster Salmon Bellies in the WLA during the summertime. I'd love to see him back here. Yeah, just as a fan, but seeing him as an unrestricted free agent kind of tells, will kind of make anybody think that. Same thing with Kevin Buchanan and even Kyle Buchanan. They're unrestricted free agents.
And the name that strikes me, because all of a sudden I became this big baseball guy, the name that strikes me is Thornburg. Bring him in. You got your face-off guy.
Your face-off guy right there.
It's not costing you anything. You just sign him for the league fee.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good starting point. Now, but now you got to find yourself a goaltender. Out there.
Right, and my thing is with Aaron Bold being unrestricted, I see him going to San Diego.
Yeah, I agree. He lives in Edmonton. He's not going to fly. He's not going to fly across country every time. I think he's going to be the San Diego number one pick.
Now,
not number one pick, but he's going to go to San Diego. Well, it just makes too much sense.
Well, you know what? He could still fly from Edmonton to Philly because Philly's in the international airport. It's a straight run.
You know what, Rocco? That's an excellent point. I completely missed that. That's a direct flight. He could do that.
Yes, he could.
I got my head locked into Uncasville, where you fly to Boston or New York, and then he don't have to do that.
Right. Even if he flies to Toronto, he can go Edmonton, Toronto to Philly.
Yeah.
That's nothing. So who knows? But
one way or the other, he's taking a flight.
Right.
So you're going to fly west, or you're going to fly east?
Fly east.
You're in a plane.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that was the one big thing.
I think San Diego is where he's going to go.
Yeah. Now I'm going to look at. I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to read every single player. I mean, you can go to Evan Schemenauer's page. It's on laxallstars.com. The NLL expansion draft projections. This is just from him. For Buffalo, unrestricted free agents: Callum Crawford, Mark Steenhouse, Bill O'Brien. The unprotected list is going to be England, DeRuscio, let's see, Ryan Wagner, Zach Higgins, Alex Keto Hill, Herwires, Reed Acton. Just a couple names there. They're saying Higgins and England might be the projected people going. Now, your Rochester Nighthawks, unrestricted free agents: Dan Dawson, Matt Vince, Agnes Goodleaf, Billy D. Smith, and Dylan Evans. They're protecting 5 forwards and 6 defensemen, no goalies, because both their goalies are unrestricted free agents. There. Unprotected players that will be available. Brace yourself here. Austin Shanks, Eric Fennell, Luke Magnan, Dan Lomas, Quinn Pallas, Sid Smith. I mean, just those right there. Now, I believe they'll sign Sid Smith, and they're probably going to sign Austin Shanks, but having them unprotected? And they're saying that Austin Shanks and Luke Magnan are going to be the ones to go. And here's the thing. Each team can lose 2 players, and there's no takebacks. So once you lose a player, you can't take somebody back.
And also, let's say I'm Philadelphia, I can take 2 Rochester players. I don't have to.
Right. You have to go 1-1.
We get one and you get one.
Right.
I can pick 2, but so San Diego is free to do what they want.
Yeah.
But you can take 2 guys from one team.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this was done before the trade happened with Johnny Pallas. The unrestricted free agent prior to the draft here for the Swarm is Jerome Thompson. Unprotected list: Kyle Matisse, Jordan Hall, Johnny Pallas. So you wonder what New England's going to do there, if he's going to be unprotected or not with New England. Alex Krupnicek, Chad Tutton, Connor Sellers, Ethan O'Connor, Brian Coyle, Warren Hill, the goaltender Frank Brown, Braden Hill, Kevin Orman, and Leo Storis. Projected selections going in the expansion draft: Kyle Matisse and Jordan Hall. I mean, he's got this pinpointed good.
I know if I'm Philly, I'm with Jordan Hall. He's my first pick.
Well, no. If you got first pick, I'm not.
Well, no, I'm not going to say first pick, but he's in my list.
Yeah, if he's available at some point. But you know what? I think I would take Kyle Matisse over him.
Yeah. I mean, it's apples and oranges. It's what you like.
I mean, you're
not going to go wrong either way. The only reason I'm throwing Jordan Hall out there is he's currently living and working in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So, you got a logistical thing that way as far as it might be easier for him to, he's here, let's bring him in. But you know what? They're not going to go wrong with Kyle Matisse either.
No.
It's, like I said, apples and oranges. I was just basing it on location.
Yeah. I mean, Toronto's got some players out there, unrestricted free agents. Brody Merrill's an unrestricted free agent after this year. So is Brandon Miller. But, they go through their unprotected. Paul Rabel's on that list. But they're saying that Kieran McCardle and Bradley Cree will be the ones to go. And he has here that he debated over the last few players that the Rock will protect, and he says he thinks that McCardle will be a high priority for Philly given his proximity. So who knows? You might see McCardle here. And
the two unrestricteds.
Yeah.
Bring them home again. Brody and Brandon Miller for a year.
Yeah. As a backup,
you groom another goaltender.
Yeah, and then if
he's got anything left, he's been hurt all year, so.
Yeah. And then Calgary, see, this is interesting. Curtis Dixon's an unrestricted free agent. So is Bob Snyder and Dane Doby. So Dixon and Doby are both unrestricted free agents. Calgary loses both of them, they're in trouble.
Pull up shop, just go out. They lose them both.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be something.
Either one of them, really.
Yeah, and then they're saying projected selections will be Greg Hartnett and Frank Siciliano. And here you go. For Colorado, the projected selections for the expansion draft, Chris Wardell and Zach Greer. Zach Greer will probably go to San Diego because he worked out in that area.
I think that's a regional thing. Those guys, I'd see anybody from Calgary, I'd see them targeted for San Diego.
Unrestricted free agents, Stephen Keogh. Ooh. So could you imagine getting Keogh and Crowley signed as unrestricted free agents?
We could only dream.
Well, remember, when Crowley was drafted, they were trying to decide whether they were going Crowley or Keogh. They both came in the league at the same time.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I went, because that was a coin flip back then.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be your wish list, the two guys you wanted. Mm-hmm. But, different organization now. But still, wow.
He's
a couple of years out of them, too.
Right, and he's unrestricted, so he can go wherever he would like to,
and unfortunately, the variable on this is they can still sign where they were, but you know what? I would at least test the market, although it's a salary cap market. You're only going to get X amount of money.
Yeah.
You're going to move across the country. That's it's not like the NFL. It's a lot of work and family stuff. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I mean it would be kind of interesting because, like I said, if you go to laxallstars.com and you look at the NLL expansion draft projections, Evan has this so nailed. I mean, we could be here for hours talking about this. Vancouver, they're saying he's saying James Ray and Evan Messenger as the ones who will be the projected selections to go, out of the unprotected list. But they're UFAs. You got Chris O'Doherty, Cliff Smith, John Hartnett, Joel McCready, Peter McFedrich, and Ian Hawksby. Nobody really, maybe Cliff Smith, they got their protected players. Yeah, unprotected. Brody McDonald's in the mix. Ty Bellinger is there. I wouldn't mind seeing Bellinger here. Give him a shot at maybe as a goaltender. Garrett Billings. Nobody's going to go after Garrett Billings. And then you're looking at Edmonton. Unrestricted free agent. Brett Mitski is unrestricted. And so is Jeremy Thompson and Tyler Carlson. But unprotected, you got Tor Reinholt, Curtis Knight, Matt McGrody, Marty Dinsdale, Dan Taylor, Adrian Sorichetti, Nick Bilic, Jeff Shatler is going to be unprotected, Johnny Pearson, Nick Finley, and Adam Shute. They're saying that Sorichetti and Curtis Knight are going to be the ones to be taken. So it looks like a lot of young players. Shatler may be hanging it up after this year. Don't know. But he's going to be out there unprotected, and if nobody takes him, he goes back to the team. So who knows? I mean, it's just...
You got hats off to Evan. The guy just spends endless hours doing this stuff. I can only imagine how long it took him to put this together. Yeah. But, he's top notch. Every week he comes out with something that's just always entertaining, always a great read, always dead on.
Dead on accurate, yeah.
Evan's one of the best in the business.
And now on swarmitup.com, swarm as in the Georgia Swarm, so swarmitup.com, they have the order of the draft for this coming year. Now, like I said, if you pick first in the expansion draft, you're going to pick second in the NLL entry draft. So whoever wins the coin flip has that option. Okay? So the first two picks in the entry draft will be Philadelphia and San Diego, depending on who picks first in the expansion draft. Okay, so Philly will either draft 1 or 2, and same thing with San Diego. But then that's in the first round. In the second round, Philly and San Diego will get the top 2 picks in that round. Whoever goes first is supposed to go first, second, and then they get 2 picks at the bottom of the second round. The same thing for the third, fourth, fifth, and the fifth round. So from rounds 2 to 5, Philly and San Diego will get the first 2 picks of the round and the last 2 picks of that round from 2 to 5. Okay, so that will give them 2 picks in each round. That gives them 8 picks right there. And then in the first and 6th round, they get either picks 1 or 2, depending, like I said, how the coin flip happens. So they'll be able to get 10 players from the NLL entry draft and 9 players from the expansion draft. So they'll have 19 players by the time the NLL entry draft is done. Not counting any free agents they may have signed. So, like I said, however the coin flip happens, the winner of the coin flip gets the option. Do you want to pick first in the expansion, or do you want to pick first in the NLL entry draft? My thing is, I would want to pick first in the entry draft. Because
Yeah, I agree.
Because San Diego, they go to pick, they're going to pick somebody that's going to be close by. Okay? They might go, let's just say, Zach Greer. And Phil's like, okay, we got to pick somebody that's kind of close to us, and we'll get, whoever. We'll go Kyle Matisse or Jordan Hall, or, we'll just, throw that out there for, as an example. So you're better off getting, I think, that first pick in the entry draft, because then you would pick first in every single round in the entry draft. So, again, go to...
And really, once you get past the third round, it's not a big issue. But
it's a crapshoot sometimes.
You get drafted in the 4th round, or John Grant Jr.
Yeah. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. But like I said, the expansion draft will happen in July because it has to happen because on August 1st is when the teams will they could entertain the unrestricted free agents. So and just to fill people in on the unrestricted free agents, it has here that if a where is it? Okay, it has here if a player is a restricted free agent under the age of 30. It says, yeah, if a player is a restricted free agent under 30 years old, made a qualifying offer not on the practice roster, you have incentive to protect that player because you have the ability to match any offer given to that player. If he's picked up in the expansion draft, the expansion team would now have the right to match offers instead of you. So if a player is a restricted free agent and he's left unprotected, then that team has the right to match any offer from another team. Now, if you're unrestricted, it's kind of self-explanatory. In most cases, if the player's 30 years or older, with some exceptions, there's little need to protect him. Since he's a UFA, he's free to sign with any team he chooses. As such, there isn't much of any incentive for an expansion team to draft that player when he can leave the expansion team just the same. Technically, the expansion team could draft one UFA in their entire expansion draft and apply the franchise tag to that player. However, that's a risk. That if he said if he was a GM of an existing team, that he would take that risk. But as the player is lost for 1 year only in the rare event it does happen. So you can still grab an unrestricted free agent if you want, but it's really kind of senseless to do that. And like I stated, each team will lose 2 players. Each team can protect 11 with a maximum of 1 goalie and a maximum of 5 forwards. So you don't have to protect the goalie. You can protect all your most 5 forwards and 6 defense transition. You could do 4 forwards and 7 defense / transition, however you want to. But maximum 5 forwards. That's the maximum of forwards. If you want, you can protect all your defense if you want. That's totally up to you. The expansion teams do not have to draft 1 player from each team. Expansion teams may draft multiple players from the same team. Kevin, as you said earlier, for example, San Diego can draft 2 players from Colorado, which means Philly gets no players from Colorado, but gets 2 players from another team, such as New England. This will assist dealing with the geographic concerns with players living and working situations. So then it says expansion teams will receive additional draft picks, starting with extra picks at the end of the second, round 2 in 2018. The next few years to help them build. And then there's the link there to click on it. So the next few years it'll be the same way to help them build their franchises back up. So it's really going to be kind of interesting. Like I said, go to laxallstars.com and look at the NLL expansion draft. Evan just kind of went, on his hunches. There's 2018 preview and projections that he has up there. He also has a great article on random thoughts, mid-season awards, playoffs lock in February, stealth, and the spiral that the Stealth are on right now. So he's got 2 big stories up there that are fantastic reads. So make sure you go to laxallstars.com. Just scroll down halfway. You see the random thoughts and the NLL expansion draft preview. And he always has his random thoughts there up every week, Evan does. And a great read.
The guy is just phenomenal. And the time that he puts in to to those articles and the information you get out of him. He's just the best.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused here because I'm hearing restricted free agent, unrestricted free agent. The nomenclature on that is a team can match an offer. Now, I was under the impression there's a salary cap. So the offer can only be so much.
Right.
Can a team pay you more than the salary cap and just pay the luxury tax later?
No. No.
I know Saskatchewan, for one, they got a big luxury tax.
Yeah, a team can make the offer. Like somebody from, let's say, New England can make an offer to one of Buffalo's free agents, restricted free agents. Buffalo will then have 72 hours to match it. If they don't match the offer, then you have them. And in some cases, a lot of times Buffalo will tell the team, "Look, we're not going to match it." Just to, you know.
And then another way around that is, well, not with the free agents. You can just franchise them, and that's another $5,000 they would have to match.
Well, no.
A 5-year pro is, I think, $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
But if you franchise them, it becomes $35,000. But you can't franchise somebody you don't have the rights to.
Right. So I mean, but Buffalo could turn around and franchise Billy D. Smith. Yeah, if he was a restricted free agent, we'll use him as an example. Not Billy D. Dane Smith. They could put a franchise tag on him if they wanted to.
It becomes a numbers thing because I want to keep Billy D. Smith with us. So Billy, we're going to give you $30,000.
Yeah.
So now, if Rocco wants him, you have to match that.
I got to match it, right? Yeah. So
you can't technically go over that.
No.
And it's up to that player.
Yeah.
So okay, I just kind of figured it out in my head here. So.
Yeah. When you see it happening, it'll all come about, but it's going to be kind of interesting from now until then to see some of these unrestricted free agents to see if they get signed, and then what happens. So.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I'm thinking in my head is you cut these deals. You can. At least I would if I'm GM. Look, Kevin Crowley, listen, Kevin, we want you here. We're going to leave you as an unrestricted free agent. But we're going to sign you later. We're just going to do this or do that, or we're going to expose you, stuff like that, and just make a handshake deal and pick the guy up later.
Yeah, see, yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure that goes on. I mean, it'd be stupid not to.
Oh God, yeah. We'll have to see what happens, but that was just.
But I agree with you. Touched on it earlier. I think Crowley, he's coming to Philly in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I got a feeling that too. Just reading that, but.
I just because it's got the business interests and this and that here, so
yeah. Well,
but we'll see. It's a beautiful thing of why we're doing what we're doing.
We'll have to see what happens in the next few months. Well, that's going to do it. Another hour and a half show. A lot of
so much for hurrying it up. We want to get in and get out. Right?
Yeah, so. There's a lot of information out there. So, like I said, check out Evan's article on laxallstars.com and give it a read. So,
and before we go, I just throw this out because we missed it, and I know we're tight for time. We mentioned Corey Small is moving to the East Coast. So where that's going to leave with Vancouver, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's definitely moving to the East Coast.
Oh, so should be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll end up somewhere here in Philly, or maybe another team might go for him. Who knows?
We don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Well, that'll be it for this week. Gary may be back next week, depending on when he gets in and whether he's recovered from his 3-week vacation with his family in the Philippines. So. For Gary and for Kevin from laxphilly.com.
I said I'll be available if needed.
Yes.
So.
I am Rocco Granado from inlacrossewetrust.com. I thank everybody for listening, and we'll see everybody here again next week.